Hello, Kevin Sullivan.
Hey, Kevin, how are you? My name's Jordan McKenna from Triple BFM.
How you going, Jordan? How are you?
Very good, mate. It's awesome to be talking with you.
Yeah, now, are we live, Jordan?
Not live as such, mate. This is recorded.
Okay, great. Because I thought it was pushed back to 5:30. I thought, okay, I'm just ready. I'm just talking to my wife. I said, I've got an interview shortly. So, yeah, that's good. How are you anyway?
I'm very good, mate. As I said, it's awesome to be speaking with you. And you've got a bit of a story to tell about a certain song that you've just released.
I do. And, look, my single is called Unknown People. And I released it on the 21st of January. And it's inspired by the Waterfall train disaster. So, the Waterfall train disaster happened in Sydney 16 years ago, actually, on the 31st of January in 2003. And I was a former forensic crime scene policeman, so I worked on the Waterfall train disaster. And a lot of my songs, Jordan, are probably taken from real stories and people and places because I've played all over the country. But this particular story, it's a little bit of a sad backstory in that one of the victims, I found a letter on him from one of his children. And, you know, I have children, and probably you yourself, you've written notes or given your folks or your grandparents tokens. And
Definitely.
the letter I found on this victim basically said, you know, keep this letter with you, Dad. It'll bring you home safely. And it's a really sad story. So I wrote this song sort of as a tribute, not only to the victims and family, but also to emergency services personnel and first responders, but even journos and people from everyday life who experience trauma. So that's what the song's about, yeah.
Oh, beautiful, mate. So you've said you're well travelled. Have you ever been down SA way at all?
Look, I've played throughout the outback for about 18 years, and for 3 years I played at Inaminka races. So I've been all the way down through Adelaide. I've played at Harndorf, and in fact, 1 year I even did a gig at the Woomera Detention Centre many years ago. The band and I happened to be going through Woomera, and we did a gig. It took a bit of doing, but I said, look, we're going to be in Woomera. I'm happy to do a free gig. So I even played there. So, yes, I've been extensively through South Australia. Actually, there's another song on my album, which is Belonging, that I released, which is about a girl I met at the Inaminka races. Her name was Jess Fullerton, and in 2011, she asked me to sing a song called Shameless, which is written by Garth Brooks. And I said, I'll learn it next. Yeah. So I didn't know that one, but I sang another one. I think I sang Friends in Low Places for it, Jordan. But in 2012, I went back to the Inaminka races, and this Jess Fullerton asked me again. And I said, oh, look, I promise I'll learn it next year. Well, in 2013, when I went back, I played my first set, and I asked some of the people working there, I said, oh, where's Jess? And they started crying, and sadly, Jess had been murdered, her and another girl, Rebecca Wild. There was a double murder that happened down around Corn in South Australia. So I came home and wrote a song called Play Shameless for me. So, that's also on my album. But, so like I said, a lot of my songs are taken from real stories and real experiences that I've had, and I think a lot of people sort of connect with that, Jordan.
You've just given me shivers there, mate, hearing about that, because I was thinking as you were saying Jess Fullerton, I'd heard that name somewhere before.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's quite amazing. Wow. Yeah, and I'm a big Garth Brooks fan as well, so, yeah. And you know what it was, and I wrote this song called Play Shameless for me, and I know it's getting off the song I've just released, which is Unknown People. Yep. But the song Play Shameless for me, the reason I didn't learn her song Shameless, because there's so many chords in it, but I've eventually learnt it, and I've just come back to Tamworth. I've done 12 gigs, and just about every gig I play now, I sing the song Shameless, which is what Jess, and I always think of Jess when I sing it, but then I sing the song that I wrote to her called Play Shameless for me. And it's a real boppy song. When I wrote it, I thought, I could write a sort of sad song. But she was a girl who had a really hard life, and you know, she was just so full of life. She was a really beautiful, happy person for the terrible life that she'd had, and you'd never know. She just lived life to the fullest. And so when I wrote the song Play Shameless for me, it's a real boppy, fun. It's got trumpet and clarinet and saxophone, and you know, people say, wow, it's a happy song. I said, well, it's a celebration of Jess's life. So yeah, that's what it is, and that's what a lot of my songs are about, Jordan. So, with obviously being a storyteller, growing up, did you have anyone that you listened to? And when I think of stories, I think of the likes of John Williamson and stuff. Was there?
And look, he's fantastic, and yeah, I think I was lucky, and also a little bit spooky that you're ringing me today, because my mum, God rest her soul, Mum used to play a lot of country music to us, and it would have been my mum's birthday today, would you believe, Jordan? So,
happy birthday to her.
Thank you very much. Yeah, good on you. So Mum would play us, the old Johnny Cash and the Charlie Pride and Slim Dusty, and, she loved all that sort of stuff, and, we would all, I think that's where I got my ground into country music, and, I always played music as a little fella, and, even during my career as a police sort of forensic crime scene examiner, on days off, I would play music, and I think a lot of people doing that sort of job, you need a good outlet, and music is such a great medium, as you yourself would know, and a good leveler, and so I always did something far removed from the forensic work, and music was what I did. But I love telling stories, and I do find it quite easy to write songs, because a lot of them, like I said, they're about real experiences, and they're not all sort of sad ones. I've got some really funny ones too, and so that's what I do.
That's beautiful, mate. Well, there's a storyteller that I'm reminded of. You're probably familiar with him, John O'Day.
I'm John O'Day, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I grew up around him. My dad's a mad fan. So they're the sort of people that I think of when it comes to storytelling. It's quite good to be speaking to a storyteller as yourself. In regards to you doing the police work, was it something that you always wanted to do growing up, or is it just you fell into it?
I think I wanted something that was sort of challenging, and I'd had a lot of sort of family and friends that did sort of a lot of office work, and I just thought, I just don't want to do something that's, where you know what you're going to be doing each day. And so the police work, as a young fellow, when I left school, it always attracted to me the fact, and I didn't really know any police as well. We got no police in the family, but just always seemed an occupation where very exciting job and a very dangerous job at times, but something where you just never knew what you were going to be doing. The next day you get to work, and that's how I found it, actually, and as challenging and as dangerous at times as it could be. It was a very exciting role. And then when I did forensic work, I was only dealing with major crime and major incidents, so that was even more so. I was always on the TV and doing like the really big jobs and the court and stuff. So it's given me a lot of subject matter for a lot of songs. And coming back to the song I've just written, which is, and I've just released, Unknown People, in a week it's had about 1,800 views on YouTube. And like I said, it's a really sad story about this letter I found on one of the victims from one of his children. And I've got 5 children, Jordan. So I've got 2 older girls. I've got a 27-year-old and 26-year-old. But then I've got 3 little ones, 9, 7 and 3. And all of them at some stage give me little tokens or letters. So I could really relate. When I found his letter on the victim, it was a really sad thing. Mm. And when I tell the story to people, and like I said, I've just come back from Tamworth, and I've sung this song every day, obviously, and people, you could hear a pin drop in the rooms. And, I played it in some big venues in Tamworth, and, when I would tell the story, no one was talking. I'm thinking, oh, wow. But the amount of people who said, look, I can relate to it because, I've had some depression or trauma in my life or some emotional things. So people around the country have really connected, which is really nice as a singer-songwriter.
Oh, definitely, mate. So speaking of Tamworth, you obviously enjoyed yourself being there. It was a good atmosphere.
It was really good. I took my wife and my 3 little ones. So they're, like I said, they're 9, 7 and 3. And my wife said to us towards the end of Tamworth, we did 12 gigs. She said, I think the children are finally match fit because we were dragging them from gig to gig. But the little ones are sort of musical. They're learning instruments as well. So, they got up at a couple of gigs and helped me. And look, it was just a great vibe. And as you probably know yourself, there's so many great artists. And there's a lot of venues there. There seem to be more and more venues each year.
Yeah, definitely. And, I'm thinking the Post Office Hotel, Hillbilly Hut, the Slider Diner. There's a lot.
Yeah, and I was all over the place. Hillbilly Hut. So Simon Johnson, who played bass for the likes of Troy Casadale and Amber Lawrence. So Simon recorded my first single, which is Outback Australia, which I wrote after travelling through the Outback, and he got me to come and play out at West Tamworth Leagues in the Legends Bar with a full band, and it was just amazing. It was an amazing venue, but a lot of them are. But the smaller venues are quite intimate and really good venues. And people just, through the festival, they just appreciate country music, but in particular they appreciate original songs. So my songs were pretty well received, and I play with a keyboard player and a saxophone player a lot of the times, and I'm a little bit different, but people seem to like that, Jordan.
Nothing wrong with different, mate. My show is called The Extraordinary Show, and I use my name Jordan in the title there. And
well, there you go.
We're all extraordinary.
Good on you.
No, it's very good to have that extraordinary person that I'm talking to, then, mate. And look, I'll let you go. You've got the kids to look after and all that sort of stuff. And but it's been an honour speaking to you. It really has. And your story does speak words to a lot of people. And hopefully, I can meet you one day when you come.
I'd love to meet you, Jordan. And thank you so much for having me on today. And people like you really support not only country music but independent artists like myself. So thanks so much for your support, Jordan.
Thank you very much, mate. You look after yourself.
Bye bye. See ya.